Hi. Hey. Hello. It's Sunny, and I've been waiting to check out this film for a hot ass minute. I love indie cinema, I love Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a very talented actor, and I've always been alerted to the title of this film, Nightcrawler. No, not that one. Though for years, even despite knowing it wasn't like I thought this was somehow related to him, but no, not him. I said not him. No, like, okay. When you think of what the word Nightcrawler means, a guy crawling around in the night, who do you picture? That's not fucking funny. All right, enough chit chat. Let's start up our cameras and drive around Los Angeles for this hit of a film and Dan Gilroy's. Dan Gilroy was a screenwriter way back in the 1980s, conceiving the idea for Nightcrawler back in '88, being fascinated of the occupational world of forensic photography when he read the photo book Naked City from author Ouija. And it's fascinating it's just a very fascinating book with crime photos. Deciding to write a film treatment with the feel of the classic film Chinatown, he shelved the idea after the release of The Public Eye, which was a loose depiction film of the author Ouija. Years later, Gilroy moved to Los Angeles and took notice to the Los Angeles crime news world. The power soaring through when ratings thrived for news stations of broadcasting a violent crime occurrence. Even more notice to the profession of being a stringer, individuals who would go around to the latest crimes occurring to get the best videography of it to sell to news stations for monetary transaction, the modern equivalent to the days of Ouija's photography. He would spend many years trying to get this script down, playing around with many angles of thriller storytelling, only to focus on character priority first, deciding to write a compelling anti-hero, which was difficult to the rarity and psychopathic antics of such a protagonist, yet landing on it, pulling inspiration from films The King of Comedy, To Die For, and the talented Mr. Ripley. Everything came together for Gilroy as he finally landed on his protagonist, Lou Bloom, a character that expresses the ideas of capitalism and unemployment, sanity and edge, and anti-nature, being the driving force to this movie. Everybody who read it loving it and signing on immediately, with Jake Gyllenhaal as the role, and thus production and its release occurred, leaving a true staple in independent cinema. Now this is the independent filmmaking I adore. This film was made on an $8.5 million budget and yet managed to pull off so much with such a little budget, it's wild. Of course, being set in Los Angeles, this place is just such a vibe and beautiful. Florida can be such a drab and dire place. New York, the city that never sleeps, and is always partying. And in Los Angeles, this film portrays this fantasy land just right. The big open world where there's action happening around every corner. To me, this film is very much like a modern day California equivalent to that of Scorsese's Taxi Driver. Very different films and ideas, like the same ideal portrayal for the respective cities. The production design is just stellar and simplistic. The locales here were well picked. Lou's home says so much about his character. It's a perfectly traditional LA apartment, everything you would expect in an American residence, and yet it feels so empty, lonely. Nothing more than a resting place for Lou, compared to the awe of the Channel 6 news station, or streets he drifts around in. Speaking of which, the Channel 6 news station is everything you'd expect a news station to be. Traditional, yet we see this film from the perspective of Lou, so in his eyes he's in awe. Bustling, hustling, focused, like how any American production would be. The illusion unraveled, the big money place for a reward, and it's really the streets that gets you hooked in. Seeing Lou and Rick drive around, all the action of chasing a good crime scene, and rewarded for it all is so much fun, which is perfectly balanced out by the editing, cinematography, and music from James Newton Howard. The music perfectly knows how to build tension, add to the quirkiness of Lou, It also put the shift in gear and drive up with such excitement and intensity. It's very ambient in its nature, and the film cools down from the rush of energy, yet still feels quirky. And when it does get intense, the synths bash in and rev all over. The editing from Dan Gilroy, yes, his brother, is splendid. The film is truly from Lou's POV. When characters have a conversation, it either constantly shifts for them both, or allows a character to have their speak, and focus in on a character's response or facial reaction. And yet the thrilling nature allows it to also constantly cut, yet it's never jarring. It adds to the perfect pace and really intensifies everything. The film is long, yet I was hooked in every minute. Of course, the cinematography from Robert Elswit is splendid. It's very grounded in its nature. We truly are on the streets with these characters. Conversations are tight and focused in, the intensity through the roof and rush flowing in, and revelations are perfectly unavailing in their nature, due to how the film focuses in on everything and adding to Lou's antics, especially when we're in the stringer scenes. We truly witness all the crimes up front and get enthralled by the action like it's a drug the way it is to Lou and the news staff. When you combine all three of them together, they add to the film's thrill. This is a true thriller in its nature. My ass was actually getting anxious and nervous as the film kept getting closer and closer to dangerous crime after dangerous crime up the ladder. And it was both horrifying and exciting. It's like the adrenaline rush of danger getting to us, and it's just so perfectly well done with their limited budget. Direction done right. From bottom to top. Frank and Joe, who the latter being played by Bill Paxton, serve sort of as competition and reminders to our central characters. Frank being a fellow employee at the Channel 6 news station who questions all of Lou's antics and is always very concerned, having his biggest moment towards the end when unveiling the truth by the horror house subplot in the film, to co-lead Nina, revealing how Lou has truly affected Nina's mindset despite how minor his role is. He still plays a factor in the story, right alongside Detective Frontieri, who sees through all the bullshit Lou spits out, despite Gyllenhaal doing such a fantastic job at not seeming nervous, guilty, and remaining calm throughout every one of their interactions. Like, on God, I wouldn't think his ass was guilty either, yet still, she sees through it all, and yet she can't do anything because she has nothing, and the two are the only characters to know the truth, yet don't win in the end, representing the unsung heroes of this story. Then you have Joe, the guy who indirectly causes all of this, having a normal night in his life of just doing his job of being an LA's Nightcrawler. Yet when Lou is interested in his hustle, needing a job and really a desire for something, he just shrugs him off. Not in an entirely rude way, yet in an uncaring way. Only for when Lou pops off with his videography, he tries to obtain his talent and get him to work with him, really trying to make more money. Yet to Lou's perspective, he makes himself a target, competition. And Lou can't have that, being one of Lou's, and really his first primary victim, being just a man doing his job, regardless of attitude, ending up in the hospital due to Lou's action, and having been a man who went from capturing footage of people's downfalls and suffering of horrible crimes with cameras all up in their face to becoming exactly that, a man who fell under his own line of work. Which leads us to Lou's other and most important victim, Rick, his co-assistant, a homeless man desperate for money and a living, who was well performed by Riz Ahmed, who even did research and met with homeless people to try and get the performance as accurate as possible, and it truly shows, not just in his status, yet really in his desperation, a victim of American capitalism, who Lou exploits that desperation, being a man who does everything for Lou, even if he questions his antics and isn't paid well enough, still does everything for him, guiding him, and generally Lou not getting anywhere to where he would be at the end of the film without him, showcasing Lou's true psychopathy, how he generally doesn't like people, and yet despite doing everything for him, he becomes another victim. No witnesses. Which leads us to Nina, the woman who takes up on Lou's efforts, a newswoman who works for a dying and low-rated station, trying to do everything she can to make her network on time, and getting that golden opportunity when Lou arrives, going the extra mile and getting the very best recordings of crimes he can, becoming a golden child, yet nothing more than a co-worker, until Lou makes his advances and obtains her and the entire station's power. He's in control, manipulating her into sexual necessity and satisfaction. Yet at first it seems she is yet another victim of him during the movie, until towards the end we learn she went from victim to codependent, not even caring about Lou's wrongdoing and finally being on top and getting the very best material for her network, the love of the game. Excusing all of his heinous crimes and wrongdoings to humanity, if it means getting the best story with the ultimate visual work, which just shows how manipulation, power, and exploitation can get a man far in America, leaving us to our protagonist, the man himself, the Nightcrawler, Louis Bloom. This guy earns the right of top-tier cinematic psychopaths. Like, this dude had me tweaking the entire film from just unraveling his persona. This isn't a story about examining psychopathy, seeing an emotional man face justice, or even just an origin story explaining why he is the way he is. This is an American success story. A story of a man we know nothing about. His upbringing, why he lives in LA, if he grew up here, if he was just born this way or is a sociopath. Just a man who just is. A man for the desire of wanting to be passionate about something and obtaining it through the occupation of a city nightcrawler. The adrenaline rush, the high octane energy, and the thrill of getting the best out of a crime story. A true neo-noir thriller. A man who works his way from the bottom of some doofus with a camera getting heckled by police into the big man on top of his own production company, yet being a snake climbing up a ladder made of human beings, exploiting people's desires, desperation, eliminating the competition, avoiding all faces of judgment, and getting everything he wants. It's not even a sad story, a horror story, anything. It's just a story that unveils the truth of America all through this character. To him, everything is just is. He won't blink twice about assaulting an officer, causing a competitor's occupational and physical downfall, manipulating a co-worker into sex, ducking detectives, leading his dedicated co-worker to death, and breaking entire privacy and literal laws of people's injuries and crimes. Hell, leading the deaths of criminals and cops just to get the best story. There are many angles this story takes. Capitalism and the necessity to be a success, being desperate for work even at the cost of wrongdoing, being forced into manipulation to be successful, and the power of corruption to be on top. How we're all inhumane. Not even in Nina avoiding Lou's actions, yet how everyone generally doesn't feel or care for the victims of a terrible crime, just wanting to witness it all on an almost entertainment value. It's just a job to everyone. It's no longer about reporting news to warn or tell people about the happenings of the real world, yet to revel in people's tragedies. To Lou, it's all the game. He's all in for getting the best thing, which brings another angle into how this can be sort of a metaphor for directing or filmmaking. How Lou himself is a film director looking for the best. Only he's not making a movie, he's making real life into a movie. Well, you know, in the context of the film, not real life. Moving dead bodies, sneaking into a house of an entire family's murder, and causing a chain reaction at the end of an insane street battle to get the best. Causing his own crimes for televised pleasure. There's so many angles to the story, and yet the same outcome. In real life, the bad guys win. It's a perfect showcasing of how business works. You're a snake climbing up a ladder made of human beings, killing, exploiting, and destroying your way to the top to be rewarded. It's sad, yet true. And honestly, that fucking hurts. What a truly baffling, in a good way, movie, dude. It's what I love most about indie filmmaking. With such a limited budget, the freedom of doing everything you can is so much fun and amazing. As long as you got a damn good script and damn good characters with a damn good cast, you can make a damn good film. Nightcrawler, to me, is like the modern day Taxi Driver, yet an entirely different movie. It has such different goals and questions in mind. It's a character study and also isn't. It's a commentary on capitalism and also isn't. It's a film about psychopathy and also it isn't. It's a film with a lot of different angles to explore. It has so much to say. Its plot is simple, yet the story is broader. Its character has a look on the outside, yet through delivery, a persona on the inside, with fun, grounded filmmaking and a real texture to it all that makes you look at it from the upside down. And that's movies, man. It's been Sunny, and so long, farewell, and goodbye.
What if my problem wasn't that I don't understand people, but that I don't like them?
I'm looking for a job. In fact, I've made up my mind to find a career that I can learn and grow into. Who am I? I'm a hard worker. I set high goals, and I've been told that I'm persistent. Now, I'm not fooling myself, sir. Having been raised with the self-esteem movement so popular in schools, I used to expect my needs to be considered. But I know that today's work culture no longer caters to the job loyalty that could be promised to earlier generations. What I believe, sir, is that good things come to those who work their asses off, and that people such as yourself who reached the top of the mountain didn't just fall there. My motto is, if you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy a ticket.
That you have to have a business plan before starting a business. And why you pursue something is equally as important as what you pursue. The site advised you to answer the following question before you decide where to focus your abilities. The question was, what do I love to do? The site suggested making a list of your strengths and weaknesses. What am I good at? What am I not good at? Maybe I want to strengthen and develop knowledge about the things I'm already good at. Maybe I want to strengthen my weaknesses.
People dead in there!
7827.
Aim the camera at the car and start filming.